Hey boos, in this video I give commentary based on my opinion. Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
Cause I'm a boss.
Oh, hell no. Hi guys, it's Yoni and I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be giving my official review on the movie Photograph.
What?
I'm wondering if it's not too early in the night to kiss you.
It wasn't too early.
If you have not seen the movie, this video will include tons of spoiler alerts, so don't continue until after you have seen this movie. It is worth seeing in my opinion so that at least you can get in on this conversation. So let's go ahead and dive right into this review. This movie was directed by Stella Maggie. Now you should know her, or you should be familiar with her work when it comes to the hit show Grown-ish and also the hit show Insecure. Now let's get into the main characters. Of course, we have Issa Rae, and we all know and love her from the hit show Insecure. Her character in this film, May, it was beautiful. I love seeing her brown skin on the big screen, and I don't know, but her skin just looked extra good. Her skin looks so beautiful. Then alongside of her was Lakeith Stanfield, who played Michael, and we all know and love him from the hit show Atlanta. So next we have Shantae Adams, who plays Christina. Now you should remember Shantae Adams from the Netflix original movie called Roxanne Roxanne, and then alongside of her was Yolan Noel, who played Isaac's younger self, and we all know him from the show Insecure. So next we have Little Rel Howery, who played Kyle. He's also known for the movie Get Out. And then we have Tiana Paris, who plays Asia, and we know her from the hit show on Netflix called Dear White People. So now let's move on to the aesthetics of the film. Honestly, it was what made the film to me, and the aesthetics in this film, you could really tell that you were in a certain era, you were in a certain culture when it comes to the 1980s, and then also you have New Orleans, so you got that down south home soul type vibe, and then you knew you were in New York based off of Issa Rae's loft slash apartment within this movie, how it was decorated, and I can see how people within that moment when it comes to New York and how the loft style apartment was set up and designed, and how the layout was, the decor and all of that was industrial in my opinion, and it really gave you Love Jones vibes. So next, let's get into the soundtrack, you guys. I've been reposting different songs that I'm loving from the soundtrack. The soundtrack is really, really good, and the music really adds a lot of value to this film, possibly making it a classic in my opinion, but it depends on how you look at it. So I really love the soundtrack. I felt like the soundtrack was just amazing, and I absolutely love the soundtrack. That's what makes it a classic for me, is the music in my opinion. So let's move on to this multi-generational love story, and I think a lot of people are missing that when it comes to this conversation. Why? Because a lot of people weren't really feeling the movie because of the love story between Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield. Now, why? A lot of people are saying that their love story was rushed. A lot of people were saying that it wasn't practical, it wasn't realistic, but I hate to break it to you guys. My opinion is this: it's typical millennial bullshit, and it's typical millennial dating, it's typical millennial relationship. It's just, that's our culture when it comes to dating and relationships and love story. Now, a lot of people may not agree with me on that, but I honestly felt like in the movie, they were basically comparing different love stories. It was kind of like giving us insight on our parents and how they came up versus how we came up, and how we do things versus how they do things. For example, when it came to Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield sharing an intimate moment and having intimacy intimacy, it was more so rushed, versus Christina Adams and Yolande Noel's love scene, it wasn't. So they dated for a very long time. So a lot of people are missing that. This was a multi-generational love story, and because they kept flashing back, we had to compare either love story. So the reason why a lot of people didn't really like the film was because the main character's love story didn't really compare to the supporting roles of Shantae Adams and Yolande Noel, and that's why people really weren't feeling the film. But in all reality, you have to understand that they were mimicking the millennial love story with that story within itself. Some things that I learned from this movie. Mainly, I learned more from Shantae Adams and Yolande Noel's love story. The message that I got was, you have moments with people, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's supposed to be or is meant to be forever. And at the end of the day, when it comes to living your life, your purpose isn't to find love or to be in love. Your purpose is greater than that. And that's what I learned from Isaac's and Christina's love story, was that their love was love and they were in love and everything like that. But Christina knew that at the end of the day, she still had a purpose to fulfill here on earth, and it was greater than being a wife and bearing children. So when she asked Isaac, there was a scene within the movie when they were sitting in her mom's kitchen, she asked him, she said, "Do you want more than this?" And his response was, "No, I just want to marry you. I just want to have kids with you." And Christina wanted more for herself. So as a woman, she decided that because she wanted more and she knew that she most likely couldn't have it with this man based off of her mom having conversations with her, she decided to choose herself and pursue her purpose and fulfill her purpose, and she went on and moved to New York. Now, a lot of people weren't feeling the fact that she didn't tell him about May. However, when it comes down to it, I felt like it was a mutual mishap, in my opinion, meaning Isaac didn't ask and she didn't tell. When it comes to communication, a lot of times miscommunication is all based off of not having a conversation at all, and I felt like that mishap was a mutual thing, and I wouldn't put the blame all on Christina. That's the only issue that I had with their love story with Christina and Isaac. But other than that, I felt like Christina did what was best for her. She was career driven, she was ambitious, she was a strong woman, and she knew what she wanted, and she wasn't afraid to chase it. I felt like as young women on my platform, we could all learn something from her character, and it's to chase your purpose. Like, don't get so caught up in these men, because they will come and they will go, and at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are fulfilling your purpose before you leave this earth. And the reason for that, even after Christina's death, her work was being shown in a museum. Her legacy lived on and on and on forever. If she would have stayed with Isaac in New Orleans, I don't feel like she would have had the same legacy. I don't feel like her imprint on the world would have been the same. So that's the message that I got from Christina and Isaac's love story. That's the message that I got from Christina's character. She did what was best for her. She did what was best for her child, and she wasn't afraid to mess up or make a mistake. She just went after her purpose and she fulfilled that. Any mother out there that you feel like maybe you're incompetent now because you have a child, well, her character showed that that is not true, that you can still get out there and pursue your dreams and all the things that you want if you simply choose to. So that's what I love about her character the most, and that's why I love their love story the most, because Christina knew that with Isaac she would have moments, but it was not meant to be forever. Next, moving on to Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield's love story. When it comes to May and Michael, honestly, it was millennial bullshit. You know, it's the typical millennial bullshit where we rush into things, we don't really vet each other enough to where we really truly get to know that person. And also, we as women, we make it easier on men because we don't really make them work for anything. I mean, I understand that Issa most likely wanted to have sex with this man, and it's no judgment as far as religion or, oh, this is the right thing or the wrong thing to do. It was just a simple fact that she didn't vet him enough to really know what he wanted, you know. And I feel like that's necessary before you become intimate with someone. You can't just jump in or hop in bed with someone you really don't know what they're truly about, because you may find yourself in a situation where you're developing a soul tie and and an intimate attraction, and that is something that you can't easily shake. So when it came to May's character, it's like, girl, what is you doing, sis? And then also another reason that I didn't really like it, it was almost like she didn't have enough discipline to hold out on sex to vet this man long enough, you know what I mean? And I just didn't really like that. And then also another thing that I did not like was the fact that Michael, he was confused on what he wanted. Like, he just got out of a serious situation, and it almost felt like he bailed because of commitment, because of true commitment. So that was a red flag for me. Like, okay, you bailed out on this girl when it came time to truly committing to her. How do I know that you're not going to do the same to me? And that's what I wanted May to pick up on. She really didn't pick up on that. And then another thing was, I wish they would have given Kyle and Asia's characters more screen time, because it's very rare that we see a middle-aged black couple with kids that live in the suburbs on the big screen. Like, let's be serious. It's a rare thing to see, and they seem like they had a lot of chemistry between the two to where they could have definitely held down the big screen more, you know. And it would have been nice to see them play that marital role that a lot of us don't get to see on the big screen. When it comes to black people, like, they just seem normal. Like, you know, they just seem like a normal couple that's still in love with each other, but at the end of the day, they're still going through BS when it comes to your day-to-day life and your routine. So I wish they would have gotten more screen time, because their chemistry on screen was just amazing. They seemed like they were really, really married. Now, when it comes to the main characters, May and Michael, Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield, I didn't really feel like they had chemistry in all scenes. And I don't know if it was because Issa was being awkward or what. It was almost like you got insecure vibes. Like, why is this girl looking like that? Like, why is she making that face? And you low-key got secondhand embarrassment, because it was at point in times within the film it just didn't fit or it didn't flow. So I'm just like, why is she looking like that? Why is she looking so awkward all the time? Like, she would be reading a letter from her mom by herself looking awkward, like, and then just be like, why am I like embarrassed? And she's in a room by herself. I love me some Issa Rae, but there was just moments where I got insecure vibes during the film. But outside of that, I felt like this movie was great. I think a lot of people are upset with the movie or how the movie played out when it comes to the main characters, because they just didn't like the love story. But the love story was realistic. When we speak on the millennials in love, in relationships, in dating, I felt like it was spot on. And I know a lot of people are going to be upset with that, but I felt like it was spot on. It was rushed. There wasn't a lot of talking. There wasn't a lot of getting to know each other. There wasn't a lot of much of anything, you know, and the film really lacked dialogue, and I think that's why a lot of people didn't like the film. There were just moments where there was just a lot of silence and pausing. There wasn't even really music for real, or if it was music, it was very light and in the background. So I felt like that is what made the film not so great, but I still feel like it was a great film. Is it comparable to Love Jones? No. Love Jones is a classic. You can't touch a classic. A classic is a classic. You can't compare a classic. It's a classic for a reason. But I will say this movie in itself is a great one, because the moral of the story is your purpose isn't to find love or to be in love. Your purpose is greater than that. So that is the message that I got from this movie. There were so many other messages, but that was the main one. So in my opinion, it made it a great movie. So that's all that I have regarding this review. I would love your thoughts and opinions, so make sure you comment them down below. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell so that you are notified for when I upload, and I'll catch you in my next one.